Most men never realize this. You don't need more confidence. You need boldness. Confidence waits. Boldness acts. One gets applause, the other gets respect. If you've ever walked into a room and felt invisible or bit your tongue when you had something to say, you know the cost of hesitation. It's not just missed chances, it's a missed identity. Because boldness isn't about being loud. It's about carrying yourself with quiet certainty, even when your voice shakes. In a world obsessed with approval, being bold is a silent rebellion. It's not charisma. It's not luck. It's a simple decision, repeated daily until it becomes who you are. Today, I'll show you how to build boldness the Stoic way. Not by pretending to be fearless, but by rewiring how you respond to pressure, judgment, and shame. We'll talk about how to stop fearing embarrassment, how to build mental strength, and why bold actions attract respect far more than well-behaved silence ever could. This video isn't just a guide, it's a reset, a new operating system for how you walk, speak, and carry your energy. Because boldness isn't something you wait for, it's something you become, one uncomfortable move at a time. If this resonates with you, hit that like button and subscribe, so you don't just get motivation, you get a new mindset. Let's begin. 1. Boldness is your superpower, not confidence. You were told to be confident, to walk into the room, smile, shake hands, and speak clearly. But confidence is a performance. Boldness is something else. It doesn't wait for the right moment. It doesn't ask if people are watching. Boldness moves when it's uncomfortable. That's what separates the men who leave a mark from the ones who leave no memory. Boldness is not natural talent or loud charisma. It's a choice, a system, a silent force. You don't need more words. You need more presence. Because when you speak from boldness, even one word hits harder than 100 rehearsed lines. Most men confuse being polite with being respectable. But when you're too careful, too agreeable, too pleasant, what you actually project is weakness. The world doesn't reward men who blend in, it tolerates them, then forgets them. And that is the real cost of playing small. Not rejection, but invisibility. Confidence is wanting to be liked. Boldness is walking in and already owning the space. And it has nothing to do with ego. It has everything to do with detachment. The Stoics never told you to speak louder. They told you to live as if you needed no approval. They didn't chase energy in a room, they generated it. Confidence feeds on outcome. Boldness flows from identity, from an internal rule. I act, not because it is safe, but because it is true. This mindset is the quiet power that makes men impossible to ignore. But you can't download it like an app. You rewire it one choice at a time. And the first step is to destroy the false belief. I need to feel ready to be bold. That belief is the reason most men sit in silence while life walks past them. You are not lacking courage. You are overtrained in hesitation. You've rehearsed self-doubt more than self-respect. That's why boldness feels foreign. But what if it wasn't? Imagine a different frame. You enter a room. Nobody knows your name. You're not the tallest, not the richest, but your eyes scan like a man who knows what he's looking for. You don't fidget. You don't over-explain. You move like someone who doesn't need validation because you have already chosen yourself. That energy doesn't come from tricks. It comes from training your mind to stop seeking and start standing. That's the Stoic frame. And here's the hard truth. No one will hand that to you. You have to claim it. Start now. In your next conversation, pause before speaking. Look someone in the eye longer than you're used to. When your instinct is to shrink, take up space. Not to impress, not to prove, but to anchor yourself. The man who acts with inner stillness commands outer respect. No slogan needed, no performance, just action. Controlled, calm, certain. Boldness is not the flame. It is the spark that lights it, and it starts with you. 2. Embarrassment is just chemistry, not truth. You think people are watching you, measuring you, judging your every move like a spotlight follows your footsteps. But that's a lie your brain keeps replaying, and you've believed it for years. The real problem isn't people. It's a chemical loop that fires inside you when you step out of your routine. Adrenaline, cortisol, shame. That's not judgment. That's a biological reflex. Embarrassment is not truth, it's chemistry. And until you cut that cord, boldness will always feel like a threat instead of freedom. Most men freeze not because they lack strength, but because they misunderstand the enemy. You think embarrassment is proof that you're exposed, that something is wrong. but it's just the body reacting to unfamiliar tension. That tension is data, not danger. The Stoics knew this. They trained to walk into pressure without interpreting it as a threat. While modern men wait for comfort, Stoic men act inside the discomfort until it loses control over them. Your mistake was trusting the flush of heat in your face more than the mission in your head. You let biology interrupt identity. But what if embarrassment wasn't something to fight, just something to ignore? The body flinches, you move anyway. That's boldness, that's clarity, that's freedom. Like rewiring an old operating system, you don't delete fear. You rewrite what fear means. You've been told to overcome your fear of judgment. But fear isn't a thought, it's a pulse. And once you realize it's not real, only physical, it stops owning you. Like walking into cold water. Uncomfortable for seconds, but it never lasts. That first spike of cortisol is just legacy programming. It kept you safe when tribes shunned outsiders. But you're not living in a cave, you're in a meeting. Or on a date. Or standing in a room full of people who are too distracted to care about your moment of awkwardness. They aren't thinking about you. They're thinking about how they look to you. You're not a target, you're a mirror. The solution is not in trying to numb emotion. It's in letting it pass without response. Watch it rise. Don't dance to it. Then act anyway. That's Stoicism in motion. That's how embarrassment dies, not with resistance, but with irrelevance. A Stoic doesn't eliminate emotion, he stops worshiping it. And when you stop believing embarrassment has power, people stop using it against you. Here's where you start. The next time you feel the heat rise in your chest, say nothing. Change nothing. Simply stand still. Let your eyes settle, your breath steady, and your shoulders remain loose. Let the signal fire and do not follow it. Within seconds, the chemical fog clears. And in its place, you'll find stillness, strength, space. This is your chance to reclaim the moment, not by reacting, but by refusing to collapse. Every time you choose calm over collapse, you rewrite who you are. Not a man avoiding judgment, a man unmoved by it. That's how boldness begins, not in silence, but in sovereignty. 3. What you feel is what they mirror. You think people judge you for what you do, but they don't. They judge you by how you feel about what you just did. That's the truth no one told you. You've been trained to avoid embarrassment, but Stoics didn't escape it, they mastered it. And they did it not by controlling the crowd, but by controlling their reaction. In social settings, you live inside a frame, a silent script. You walk, talk, and move the way others expect you to. And the second you step outside it, your nervous system fires like an alarm. But it's not the people you fear, it's the chemical reaction inside you. Once you react, they follow. You slouch, they dismiss. You tense, they judge. You shrink, they dominate. But if you relax, if you smile, if you hold yourself with presence, they reflect that too. What you feel becomes what they mirror. This is where most men fail. They think power comes from doing more, saying more, and posturing harder. But true presence starts before words. It starts in energy, in posture, in the tone under your tone. When you take a bold action, whether it's speaking up, disagreeing, or standing your ground, your real weapon is how calm you are while doing it. And calm doesn't mean passive. It means controlled. It means choosing to carry your own weight even when your hands shake. That's the internal shift that separates power from noise. Stoics trained their nervous system like a soldier trains under fire. They knew the world watches not for what you say, but how still you remain when pressure rises. They understood that people crave someone who doesn't flinch, not because they want dominance, but because it makes them feel safer around you. A man who doesn't panic gives others permission to breathe. And that's where social respect is born. Not in perfection, but in stability. Boldness isn't just action, it's emotional stillness under scrutiny. You've seen it before. One man trips and curses himself, face red, eyes down, people laugh at him. Another trip, chuckles, lifts his head and keeps walking. People laugh with him. Same event, different frame. Because it's never about what happened, it's about how he carried it. If your energy says, "This is fine," the room accepts it. If your face says, "I messed up," they agree. That's not manipulation, it's leadership. So here's how you reclaim that control. Next time you make a mistake in public, do nothing special. Don't explain. Don't overcorrect. Let the moment pass through you like a breeze through open windows. Drop your shoulders, lift your chin. Even smile if possible. Not because you feel brave, but because your body leads and your emotions will follow. That's how you train calm to become the default. That's how your presence becomes unshakable. You can't stop every awkward moment, but you can strip it of power, not by resisting it, but by standing inside it with quiet strength. That's the beginning of magnetic boldness. Not the kind that shouts, but the kind that never stumbles, because it never runs. 4. Everyone else is an NPC. Stop playing small. You walk into a room and instinctively wonder what everyone's thinking. You try to adjust your energy, your posture, your words. You think this makes you socially aware? It doesn't. It makes you invisible. Because the moment you prioritize how you're being seen, you lose control of how you carry yourself. The truth is brutal. Most people don't care about you, not because they're cruel, but because they're consumed by themselves. They're caught in their own mental loops, their own insecurities, their own mirrors. You're not the center of their story. You're background noise, and that's your advantage. What happens when you stop imagining everyone as your judge and start seeing them as NPCs? Not in a dehumanizing way, but in a liberating way. You realize the person looking at you awkwardly isn't analyzing you. He's wondering how he looks. That woman you think is laughing at you? She's scanning the room to see if she belongs. You're not under attack. You're surrounded by people trapped in the same fear you are. And the moment you understand this, you stop performing. You stop waiting to be picked. You move. You speak. You stand, not to be accepted, but because you already accepted yourself. This is the switch. You stop auditioning for a role that no one is casting. You start directing your own scene. The Stoics lived like this. They walked through the market, the courtroom, the Senate, unmoved by how others perceived them. Why? Because they didn't measure themselves by reaction. They measured themselves by principle. Their frame wasn't external. It was forged from the inside. While the world obsessed over status, approval, appearance, the Stoic man returned to one question. Did I act according to reason or fear? Most modern men live in mental handcuffs. They look around for cues. They read the room, not to lead, but to avoid embarrassment. This is why boldness feels impossible. You've given the room too much control. But when you flip that frame, when you treat the world like an open script, you stop following energy and start generating it. That's what magnetic men do. They don't react to rooms. They shape them. And they don't need loudness. They need stillness, certainty, clarity. That's the new operating system. You want to stop fearing people? Start seeing through them. Not with arrogance, but with understanding. They're insecure. They're tired. They're hoping someone else will lead. When you realize that, you start walking with authority, not because you know everything, but because you're willing to move while others hesitate. And that's what they'll respect. Not your status, your self-direction. Next time you enter a room, don't ask yourself who's looking at you. Ask what kind of energy you're about to bring. Own the space, not by demanding it, but by not asking for it. The man who no longer seeks permission becomes the man people unconsciously follow. That's not confidence. That's a command. And it starts the moment you stop seeing people as gods and start seeing them for what they are. Just like you, imperfect, distracted, hoping someone else will go first. Be that man. Go first. 5. Boldness is a choice. Make it daily. You've been lied to. You were told boldness comes from experience, from status, from confidence that builds over time. But that's wrong. Boldness doesn't grow. It's chosen. In the moment, in discomfort, in the silence between fear and movement. Most men wait for the fear to go away before they act. But that's not boldness. That's hesitation with a clean disguise. And you know where that leads. To a life of almosts. Almost spoke up. Almost asked. Almost walked away. Almost became something more. Boldness doesn't require certainty. It only requires motion. And the longer you wait to feel ready, the more your brain wires itself to believe boldness isn't yours. Every moment you back away from tension, you train yourself to shrink. That's how smallness becomes a habit. But there's a way out, and it's not complicated. You choose the hard move. You lean in when you want to retreat. You stop using "not now" as an excuse and start using discomfort as a signal. That signal isn't warning you, it's inviting you. Stoics lived by this. They didn't need to be fearless. They only needed to act when fear whispered wait, because they knew fear is temporary, but regret compounds. And the cost of avoidance is self-respect. They built identity not by theory, but by action. Marcus Aurelius never talked about feeling ready. He talked about doing what nature required, especially when it felt unpleasant, because that's the battlefield where strength is earned, not in planning, in choosing. The mistake modern men make is thinking boldness is a tool they use when necessary. But the truth is, boldness is a system, a daily code. You either install it or default to safety. You don't get stronger by reading. You get stronger by doing the opposite of what you're tempted to avoid. The resistance you feel? That's not a stop sign, it's a door frame. Walk through it. Every time you do, you send a clear message to your nervous system. We don't run anymore. And no, this doesn't mean reckless action. It means conscious confrontation. Eye contact when you want to look away. Silence when you're tempted to over-explain. Saying what you truly believe without dressing it up. You don't have to roar. You only have to refuse to flinch. That's the kind of discipline Stoics respected. Not the one that looks tough, the one that moves calmly through fire. You've spent years avoiding tension, avoiding conflict, avoiding risk. And it's made you softer than you realize. But softness isn't your nature, it's your conditioning. You were built for pressure. You just haven't trained for it until now. From this point forward, your boldness is not something you'll search for, it's something you'll practice. And each time you act through the discomfort, you'll kill off the version of you that needed permission. That's how the shift happens, not by wishing, but by walking through the next moment that scares you without flinching. Not because it feels good, but because it's who you are now. Boldness isn't something you're born with. It's something you build through repetition, through discomfort, through deliberate inner rewiring. And what you've learned in this video isn't just information. It's a new way to live, a new mindset to install, one where bold actions replace hesitation, where calm energy replaces overthinking, where you stop waiting for permission and begin carrying yourself with quiet certainty. Remember this, you don't need to eliminate fear to act. You only need to stop letting fear dictate your next move. That shift, subtle but powerful, is what separates a man who blends into the room from the one who leads it without speaking. You don't lead with noise, you lead with presence, with clarity, with a decision to stop shrinking. When you treat boldness as a daily habit, not an occasional performance, everything in your life begins to shift. Your relationships, your career, your peace of mind. Each time you face a situation that makes you hesitate, you're being handed an opportunity. Not to perform, but to practice. To train your mind for mental strength. To choose discipline over delay. You already have the tools. You just need to use them. Speak a little clearly. Stand a little taller. Say what you actually mean. Let people see the real you, not the edited version you've used to protect yourself. And if you felt this message land somewhere deep, if it touched something real in you, share your story below. You never know who you'll inspire by simply telling the truth. And who knows, that first step toward boldness might start with just one comment, one change, one silent decision, to carry yourself with strength and never look back.